Hi there, in today's video I'm going to show you how I made this forever emergency candle. When I say forever, the wick is forever, never needs to be changed. All you'll need to do is just fill up the fuel in the bottom. This is an amazing candle. It can be used for light, it can be used for heat in an emergency situation, and it's quite hot. Matter of fact, this one burns a lot hotter than pretty much all of the other ones I've showed you up to this point. I'm pretty amazed with this. Matter of fact, I'm using it to heat up the garage right now. I just turned it on probably, I don't know, about 10 minutes ago. It was 44 degrees in here when I came in, and right now it is 47. So it's heating up pretty well. You can make these in different sizes, different heat levels. This one is pretty tall, has a tall flame to it. I just made this one yesterday, but it's basically used very little fuel so far. So I'm going to put this one over to the side so I can start working, and I can continue heating the garage. Now, like I said, this is an emergency wick, and what I'm making the wick with, that's like Peter Piper picked a peck of pipple. I can't even say that. And that's without even having a drop of alcohol myself. Okay. The reason I say myself, because these are alcohol candles. Maybe that's why they burn so well. They're drunk. Okay, so these use, matter of fact, I'm going to show you right here. It's a felt, but a carbon felt, not like the regular felt, not like your felt from the grow bags, okay? Don't do that. These burn. But this carbon felt stuff is amazing. See what happens when you can get it hot, but it will not burn. That's why it's that's why it's a forever wick. Can you see how that? You can see it sizzling, but it just does not start on fire. So this makes a great wick. Now, you can get this all over the place. I wish I got mine from Amazon, because Amazon has a little bit thinner one that I would have liked to have. I got this one from Home Depot because I just wanted to make one of these right away. So I got everything there, and you can see this is pretty thick. It's probably about, I'd say about 6 millimeters, but Amazon has them that are only 3 millimeters, so you don't have to stretch them so much, and you'll see why in a few moments. So the forever wick is one thing you're going to need. Another thing is you're going to need fuel. Now that flame is, I want to push it over a little bit further. Okay, for fuel, one of the best fuels is the denatured alcohol. That's basically 100%. It burns very clean. That one is not denatured alcohol that I just did. Or in a pinch, you can use this one here, isopropyl alcohol, and this is 91%. And you can get this one at Walmart. This is not sponsored, but it should be. Okay. And that one, though, is the lower amount. I believe it's 70%. I don't have the bottle, but it's upstairs. I took it out of my wife's little makeup counter. So it was all I had at the time, but you can make it with the others. This next one I'm going to make is actually going to have the pure stuff. And what's the difference is, with the lower percent alcohols, they don't burn as clean. You're going to see a different color in the flame. Sometimes when this burns, you can't even tell it's burning because it's so clear. And what they put off, the fumes they put off. Now, these are for emergency heat in your home or in the garage, or if I want to heat things up in here. But you need to have proper ventilation. So don't just burn it in your house and leave it like that, because those fumes can make you sick. So you should use them with a fire detector if you have one. Now, I use a fire extinguisher, which is way over there, and a carbon monoxide detector, which will let you know whether there's a problem or not. Also, if you're going to use it in the house, if you have any kind of ventilation, like maybe like in our bathroom, okay, which is a small room to heat, there's the fan, okay, but if you lose electricity, you lost the fan. If you have a chimney, you might want to open the flue and use it there, or crack the window a little bit, or maybe even make one of those little vent things in your window if you need to use it in the house. But don't just use it in an enclosed room. And in the garage over here, I mean, you can feel the wind blowing through here, so I'm not too worried. and I can open the garage door, which I do quite often. Great for a greenhouse too. So that's what you use for fuel. Let me put that down here. What you're going to need to make it is a jar. You can use any kind of jar, jelly jar. This here's a mason jar. I like the ones with the solid covers, but unfortunately this one has the dual cover, one of the old-fashioned jars. We only have one with the good cover. My wife says, that's mine. You can't use that. Something about putting holes in them and giving them back. She doesn't like when I do that to her stuff. So you need the jar. You need some pipe. Copper pipe. Copper really holds the heat good, okay? You don't have to go buy tons of it. I got these also. Wow, this is like those Chinese handcuffs. Help, I can't get it off. But these are the ones, I got this at Home Depot. This is the 3/4 inch, and you also want 1/2 inch pipe. One's gonna go inside the other, and we're gonna have a really cool system. I'll show you about the wick. They're not too much if you just get, I just got the little 2-foot piece, because I mean, how many of these do you want to make? This I got a 2-foot, and this one here I actually got a lot longer one. I believe it was 4 feet, because I guess per foot it was a lot cheaper, but I didn't want to spend that much on the 3/4 inch. So you're going to need that. You're going to need the wick. You're going to need the bottle. Let's see, I'm looking to see what else. Oh, and you're going to need something to glue it together with, and I use a stuff called JB Weld. JB Weld is actually the quick one. It's a 2-part weld type stuff, and you mix them together and it comes out really solid. So how do you do it? First thing I want to do is you're going to have your pipe going in like you saw. So you need to make a hole that will hold a 3/4 inch pipe. So you can use all kinds of drills. I find that the step drill works really well. So this is a 7/8 inch step drill, and it works pretty good. So you want to get it right in the middle. So that's about in the middle. And you want to have a battery in your drill. No, it's not a silent drill. I was charging my battery, so I have to, until it's charged, I have to work with one battery for 2 drills. Okay, and what I'm going to do is put that right in the middle, and that makes a nice little hole, and that should fit. Yep, it fits tight. I'm going to make it just a little bit looser, just by making it a little bigger like that. So that's the first part. We got the hole. The next part is to get the pipe. Now, what I want to do is you want to measure it. And I have a marker. Just get a little measured marker. And you want to measure this probably to be, maybe about, I like to go about 2 inches. That one's actually about 3 inches. So let's go 2 inches above the top. There we go. So you have room to work. So I'm going to cut that much for the outer one. Let's go ahead and do that. Now, how do you cut this? Some people use the power tools, but I want to keep it quiet down here. So let's see. Let me use an alternative to the power tools. And right here, this is just a pipe cutter. You can get these pretty much anywhere, Amazon. You adjust it by twirling this. See how it's going to get bigger here? Wait a minute. Come on, let's get bigger. Bigger, bigger. Oops, I'm getting smaller. There we go. And let's see. Where's the mark I made? Oh, there it is right here. Okay, so what you want to do is put that right on the mark where you want to cut. And you tighten it up. Okay. These things work pretty slick. You tighten it up. Not real tight because you need it to be able to turn. You can loosen it and tighten it as you go. And you just spin the pipe or spin the machine, and as you go, tighten it a little bit more as you go. Let's see. And can you see it's making a groove in there? I'll try to show you what it's doing, see? Tighten it a little bit more, and eventually that pipe is going to get cut right through. Eventually. it goes a little quicker. There we go. And it comes right off. Nice, clean cut. And you can see the height of it is just about right. So that's the outside pipe. Now the inside pipe is going to protrude. It's going to go beyond. The wick's going to go through here and come up a little bit over here. So that's going to be on the top. Now, the one I have over there is about this much longer. We'll go a little bit shorter. Let's see, make it about, yeah, I'm measuring just to see. Actually, I like that length. So what I'm going to do now is get my marker one more time and mark when we need to cut this one. Let's see. Tell you what, instead, let's make it longer instead of shorter. Let's make a real big one, okay? One that could heat up really good. I was going to make a smaller one, but everything I do, I like to go bigger. So we'll make this one bigger. So I made my mark right here. And same thing, you tighten this up so it goes right on the pipe. There we go, and turn it around. Tighten it up a little bit more. Turn it around. Woo. Oops, a little too tight. And you just keep on going until it falls off. It's just about ready to go. Oops, there we go. So just to show you what I did, I made this one a lot longer. This is going to be a monster flame. See, let's see how I have that. Ooh, it's actually probably way too long. Let's go ahead and do it. If it's too much, we can always cut it down, right? I like the supersize. Now, so this is going to fit in there. There's a bottle, and that's going to fit in like that. And the wick's going to be right here. And the wick will go as tall as you have the pipe. So what we're going to want to do is make some holes in the bottom pipe here. Okay, so probably about 5 or 6 holes. Let's see, I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And this is going to be to actually get some fuel on the wick inside the pipe. So I have, I think, a 1/16 inch or something like that. It doesn't really matter as long as you can get the fuel in there. And you drill those holes right through. And you have a lot of shards. You want to be careful because these can be sharp. And let's see, I even took a piece of sandpaper here to, just so I don't cut myself or get any little splinters. Yeah, so I'm going to take that, put it to the side, get some of those shavings out of the way. And for the top piece of pipe, what I'm going to do is measure once again. And I'm going to put holes on both sides. What that's going to do is ventilate the shaft, so as the fuel comes up in the wick, okay, and it starts to burn, it's also going to be able to go inside, so it's going to come all the way to the top. So let's see, why don't I go with 1, 2, I'm probably going about 1 inch apart, 3, 4, I'll do between 4 and 5, but they're going to have to be on both sides. Let me go ahead and take a moment to do that. There we go. And what I want to do is again sand it. And also I want to sand the ends just to make sure there's nothing that's going to cut me on those. Okay, so that was the easy part. Now comes the challenge, which is getting this around here. So what we want to do is we're going to have the wick come all the way up to about here. And you can see how much wick I got left. So there's not enough this way, so I'm going to have to go this way. And what you want to do, let me put this down a little bit. What you want to do is you want to wrap it around, but you don't want to get too awful much, because if it doubles up, you'll never be able to slide it between those two things. So what I'm going to do is kind of eyeball it here. So, and I'm going to cut it right down about the same length, unless hoping I'm cutting straight. Am I? You're watching. Okay. And that needs to go, like I said, all the way around. And it did here. Now this, like I said, is thicker than what I want to use. So you can stretch it a bit. Since it is a felt, not real easy to do. I actually cut it too thin over here, so I'm hoping I can stretch it some. And the thinner I can make it, the easier it will be to fit between the pipes. Because trying to fish it between those pipes is probably the most difficult part of this process. And that's what takes the time. I'm going to try to fish 2 pieces through it to fill in the gap, because I have quite a bit of a gap. And how am I going to do that? I'm going to make a hole over here on one end. Okay. And I'm going to take a twist tie and fish that through both ends of the hole. Let's see if I can get that in there. Okay. And I'm going to try to pull that through the pipe. Let's see, I'm going to give myself a little bit more angle. There we go. So here we go. What we need to do is pull that around this one and into this one. That's the bottom. So I'm going to pull that through here. I'm going to get it going through here first. And out of the way, and I'm going to try to fish this. Let's see, that goes in the bottom. You want to make sure you get the right ends. Okay, so this is actually, this goes in there. This is the top of the candle. Okay, so it's going to have to go like this around the top, so it can go in. Now, how am I going to pull this? I'm only a one-man show. I'm going to take this and put it right on top. Let's see if I can get this. Hopefully that will stay as I try to pull this through here. And I think it's almost working. You want to wrap it really tight. Hope I didn't cut too much now. So far, so good. It might take you several tries to get it. Like I said, this is the most difficult part of the entire process. It's working. It's working. It's working. if I didn't make it wide enough, then part of the wick would not have the felt on it. You can see over here, I missed some of it. I don't want to have those voids. And you can kind of twist it, but the problem is with twisting it is the felt will be twisted inside. And I don't know if it matters. I just want it to be pretty inside too. I almost have it. Look at that, it's coming out that end. See that? Aha! So the twist tie method was a resounding success. And I just got to get this all the way to the bottom. Almost there. And you can see how I was able to salvage that skinny piece. Okay, so now I can get this off, and this is cut a little bit too long. Stretch that. There we go. Now you want to leave probably about an inch or so up here. Don't want to take off too much of it. Okay, and now that's all hanging out. I don't like that look. I'll fix that in a minute. Let me get more. Okay. So what I'm going to do, because it's hanging out so much, there's so many different ideas. I watched probably about 5 different people who made this and tried to find my own version, to find easier versions of how to do it. And this is one of the ideas I thought would be a good way to do it, is take some copper wire and hold your wick down. I'm just trying to tighten it a little bit, and then we want to make sure you don't get hurt off of it. So I'm going to cut the ends off, and I'm going to bend it right on the wick itself. There we go. Yeah. So now we pretty much have wick all the way around it. And just to get rid of some of this extra stuff, that's it. You can trim as much of it as you want. And then the bottom here, make sure it's level, and you cut the extra wick off down here too. Just like giving it a haircut. Look at that. Okay, so again, to recap, I put a piece of twist tie on there, tied it on, and jimmied it through, and while pulling it at the same time. Now this is going to fit right in here, just like that. And we're pretty much done, except we don't want to have that hole, we don't want it to be loose. So this is where the weld comes in, the JB weld. When I said the most difficult part was fishing through the felt, I misspoke. I think the most difficult part of the job is getting these gloves on. I should probably blow them first, but I'll want to make a balloon animal. All right. So now we got the gloves on, and we're going to make this JB weld. How do we do that? We want to grab a piece of paper or something to be able to mix it on. So let's mix it on this here, right here. Move things out of the way. And what you do is you take one part of each. Don't need an awful lot of it. We just need to seal around the top. But you want about the same amount of both. And for some reason, they don't come out real fast. There we go. That's enough of that one. And then we get a bunch of this one. Now this is a quick version, so it only takes, I believe, about 5 to 7 minutes for it to set up. So you want to get it out there and you want to move it. Now I'm hoping I'll be able to do it down here, because this morning, actually yesterday when I was doing it, it was too cold in the garage. I had to bring it upstairs to set. Boy, this stuff is thick. I think it's because it's so cold in the garage. That looks about the right amount of each. And then you just need to mix them. Here's my little mixing stick. Probably should have used a piece of cardboard instead of a piece of paper, because the stuff is so thick. Let's see. Fold it in half again. And we'll fold it in half again, make it a little more solid. There we go. Working a little better. And then what you do, this stuff's kind of messy to work with, is you just kind of get it in there. It's gonna make a mess, so even if it's not pretty, the flame will be. Oops. So, I think if I were to do this again, I'd probably get a popsicle stick or something. So maybe folks could send me some popsicles. Let's see. That's pretty much all I made. You can get the inside and the outside, but it really doesn't matter. Let's see, I'm trying to find something a little bit better maybe. It doesn't matter if you get both the inside and the outside, because this stuff gets so solid, it's going to adhere. It's going to stay. Yeah, it's doing good. There, I think that looks good. Whoops. Got one little. And if you want to, you can wipe some of it up afterwards. Ooh, but if you're like me, you're probably going to make more of a mess than you started with. And I think I'm going to leave good enough alone. Make sure it's in the middle, so when it hardens, it'll be in the center. Oops. Push it all the way down. And I think that's centered. And there you have it. Here's one with a shorter wick. And oops, I want this to be a little bit taller. There we go. And here's one with a taller wick. So that's going to make a nice flame. And once it dries up, we're going to light them both up so you can see exactly how they look. Okay, there you have it. The new one I just made is now, the metal part is dried up, almost. Went up for a ride and came back, and I filled this one with the denatured alcohol, which, like I said, burns a lot stronger and brighter. And this is the one with the cheaper alcohol. It kind of, it's not really that big yet, but what's going to happen eventually, because I just lit it just as I came in, is it takes a little while to take, because what it has to do is, let me move this one out of the way. Oops, not next to the alcohol. What it has to do is, if you prime this, so I put a little bit of alcohol on the wick itself, okay? So you need to prime it to light it. Sometimes you have a hard time lighting it, but you can light it with a match. You can light it with one of these things if you prime it with a little alcohol first. Now, once it's been primed, then it's a lot easier to do it the second and the third time, okay? So can you see me through the campfire? So once it's primed, the pipes get warm, and basically what they do is they wick the fuel up through the felt into the wick over here, okay? So the whole wick, it just pulls it right up through here. It's what they call the capillary system, which is pulling up. I do the same in my gardening in the summer. I have a capillary garden where it pulls water out of a bucket into the soil and makes all the soil wet. And boy, do plants grow in that. They love it. The soil takes exactly what it needs and no more, no less. So soil takes care of itself. So this is the new one we just made with the longer wick. So that's what, about probably 5 inches. And here's the other one with the 3-inch wick. So it's a lot smaller. And it's just, this one's probably just kind of catching up. And the alcohol is not really the good alcohol, and that's a 60. So if you want to use the denatured alcohol or the rubbing alcohol, you're going to get a very nice flame. And this thing's putting off some heat. Right now it is, well, it's picked up some. It's actually 48 degrees, as you can see. So I hope you enjoyed the video. I enjoyed making it. These projects are always quite fun, and you come into all these little roadblocks, but you figure them out. So I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye now.